On Larry King Now, I welcome back the one and only Jack Osbourne. Ozzy and Jack's World Detour. How did this come about?
It kind of came out from a conversation with a fellow producer. She's like, what about a history show with your dad? And I was like, he doesn't do TV anymore. He's never going to go for it. And I asked him about a month later, and he was like, yeah. And I was like instantly stunned, because I was like, he never says yes to stuff like that.
You have any regrets over doing that reality show?
I wouldn't say regrets. You know, at the time, I was probably kind of resentful at some of the stuff that made it on air. But no regrets. You know, it gave me the life I have today.
What's it like for yourself being a father?
I have a lot of fun being a father. Like, I take it, you know, I take a lot of pride in my kids and spending time with them and doing as many things with them as I can.
What kind of grandparents are Ozzy and Sharon?
My parents spoil the crap out of my kids. Like, anytime they come over, it's like toys and clothes and this, and literally my wife and I are like, stop.
Plus,
their business is their business. I can't put myself into their relationship. So whatever's going on that's the most intimate level. So I just.
But you're glad they're back.
I am, of course. You know, maybe selfishly.
It's all next on Larry King Now. Welcome to Larry King Now. It's good to have him back. Jack Osbourne, the TV personality who shot to fame alongside his rock royalty family on the hit MTV reality show, The Osbournes. Jack has since become a highly successful reality TV and documentary producer. And after a stunning diagnosis of multiple sclerosis in 2012, he has emerged as a global advocate for MS awareness through his foundation, You Don't Know Jack About MS. Now Jack's stepping back in front of the camera alongside his father, Ozzy, in the History Channel Ozzy and Jack's World Detour, airing Sundays at 10 p.m. Eastern. How did this come about?
It kind of came out from a conversation with a fellow producer. And we were just chatting about ideas, and she's like, what about a history show with your dad? And I was like, he doesn't do TV anymore. He's never going to go for it. And I asked him about a month later, and he was like, yeah. And I was like instantly stunned, because I was like, he never says yes to stuff like that. So we had to kind of get wheels in.
And the idea was to?
The idea was just a history show with me and my dad. And initially it was going to be a little bit more kind of playful and some kind of recreation stuff into it, and then we just stripped it down and thought we'd kind of make it into a bit of a road trip adventure, kind of father-son bonding kind of
How many
trip.
did you do?
We did 10 episodes.
And they're all done?
All done, yes.
Well, how far? Did you go near and far?
Yeah, so we did 7 destinations in America, and then we went to England, Cuba, and Japan.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's the two of you hosting where you're at?
Yeah, it's the two.
Do you meet people?
Yep, we meet lots of people. You know, the big part of it is kind of immersing ourselves into kind of that location and learning about the history of that place. So, you know, last night's episode, we were in Texas. We went to Houston, went to NASA, which was amazing, and they gave us this tour of the Johnson Space Center, and then we took my dad back to the Alamo, where he, you know, infamously urinated.
He urinated at the Alamo.
Yeah, in like 1982, and got arrested and whole thing.
There's so many things to see in the world. Might this be a continuing series?
I would love it to be a continuing series, just because it's such a great opportunity to spend that kind of time with my dad. So, you know, take away the cameras or whatever, it's just fun just to go travel with him.
Did you produce it as well?
I did produce it, yeah.
Let's watch a clip from Ozzy and Jack's World Detour.
Be safe.
God bless.
That had to be fun.
It was a lot of
and
fun.
Also being with your father, too.
Yep.
What, did you learn some lessons along the way? Things surprise you?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, there's the kind of the obvious, you know, you kind of, I think initially you pick up on everyone's faults, and so I'm sure I would annoy him on things. You know, he's always like telling me to put my phone down while I'm driving, because he's a terrible navigator, so I'm having to like look at, you know, the nav on my phone. And
your father's a interesting, weird guy.
Yeah.
I know we both understood that.
Yep.
You also went to Cuba. What was that like?
Cuba was amazing.
I loved it.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
Havana's a great city.
Absolutely. I mean, I always got to think, well, Havana's probably putting their best foot forward, and they kind of want you to see the image that you want to see. But everyone was incredibly polite. I never felt unsafe anywhere.
Oh, completely wonderful people.
Yeah, it was great. Food was awesome. I had a great time.
Your dad liked it too?
He did. I mean, when we're there, he's like, oh, how do you buy real estate here? He's like, I want to buy a vacation home here. I'm like, I don't know if you can buy a vacation home in Cuba.
Is Ozzy easy to travel with?
He has his kind kind of things that he has to have with him. Like he has like, he travels with like his like bags that are just full of junk, and I don't know why they're just full of stuff.
And like a poor man walking down the street?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
He's got like a wheelie bag and this like shoulder bag, and they're just full of like art stuff and pens, and because he loves doing art when he travels. And
is he in good health?
He's really good health right now. Yeah, probably better than I've seen him. And we'd go to the gym every day, and he'd an hour and a half on an elliptical like a madman.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
So you've learned things about him as well?
Oh, big time. Yeah.
Mom and sis didn't come along. Right?
They did not come along, no.
Did they approve of this idea?
They, Mom kind of stayed out of it, other than kind of giving the thumbs up to making the show happen. Kelly she didn't really know what we were doing, and she would start seeing pictures. I think she got a little jealous because we were like having a lot of fun, and she's like, well, I want to come. She's like, if you ever need me to come out, I'll do it. And I'm like, I don't think you're kind of...
Maybe you do another set of shows, take her.
Maybe, and leave her somewhere. No, I'm just kidding.
Your mother and father are back together, right?
Yes, they
Sharon announced that.
Yes.
How long were they apart?
I don't, as far as like officially, I don't really know. I kind of, I've got my own family, my own marriage to kind of maintain, and I was just like, all right, well, you guys just, whatever you're gonna do, just do it. I'm staying out of it.
You're adults now, so you can handle this thing
exactly
a little better. They're an unusual couple, right?
They are. They are,
both smart.
Both smart, both very passionate, and both very hard-headed. So, when you kind of have that combination, it can get tumultuous at times.
They're an unusual couple, though, right?
Yeah, I would. But I mean, listen.
Well, we know them so well.
Unusual. Are there any normal couples?
What's normal?
Well, exactly. What's normal? I mean, hey, the next potential president of the United States had their own problems.
Really?
Well, yeah, come on.
Next, we'll check in on Jack's fight against multiple sclerosis. Stay with us. Ozzy and Jack's World Detour airs Sundays at 10 p.m. Eastern on the History Channel. And Jack Osbourne's our special guest. What's it like for yourself being a father?
I have a lot of fun being a father. Like, I take it a lot of pride in my kids and spending time with them and doing as many things with them as I can.
2 little girls, huh?
2 little girls, yep.
4 and 1.
4 and 1.
What kind of grandparents are Ozzy and Sharon?
My parents spoil the crap out of my kids. Like, anytime they come over, it's like toys and clothes and this, and literally my wife and I are like, stop. Like, stop. Just like
That's what grandparents do, though.
Exactly.
And they don't have to bed. They go home. Did you learn a lot the way you were raised, the way you now? Some people say they raised your children the way you were raised. I'm finding I do things my mother used to do to me that I hated, and I do now to my kids.
I probably do a lot of things that I'm way more structured with my kids than my parents were with me, but I also. I'm kind of risky. I'll take Pearl surfing and she's 4, and do stuff like my dad was always kind of like, oh, they can do it, they're fine, and my mom was always very protective of like letting us do things, that might have been, a little bit too mature for us at our age. So I tend to be a bit more risky with the kids as far as, exposing them to certain things.
You have any regrets over doing that reality show?
I wouldn't say regrets. At the time, I was probably kind of resentful at some of the stuff that made it on air. But no regrets. It gave me the life I have today.
And how is Aunt Kelly doing?
Aunt Kelly is good. She's living in New York at the moment, working, and she's great. She's busy as ever.
She filled in for me on this show.
Yep, I heard that. How'd she do?
She did very well. Everyone loved working with her.
Awesome.
What's her next move? Will we see her back hosting? Is she?
Yep, Kelly's doing Project Runway Juniors right now. I think it's a Bravo show, so she's doing that. And then she's a judge on Australia's Got Talent in Australia.
Oh, they have one there too?
Yeah.
You announced 4 years ago multiple sclerosis. How did you discover it?
I went temporarily blind in my right eye. Completely lost vision.
Everybody's different.
Yeah, everyone is so different because it's kind of like a fingerprint. It's unique to the individual that has it. So I went to the eye doctor, and the eye doctor was like, "You need to go to the hospital." I think he knew what it was, but he couldn't say. Had a bunch of scans, MRIs, spinal tap, the whole thing, and then, a few days later.
So did that lead to You Don't Know Jack About MS?
Yeah.
How did that come about?
That kind of came about because when I got diagnosed, I did what everyone does. I went online and started looking up MS, and I couldn't really find stuff that I could relate to. Everything was very doom and gloom, it was scary or very clinical, and I just didn't really understand what I was reading. And so I kind of set about trying to create a place for people to go to learn about multiple sclerosis in a way that's easy to digest, and also make people aware of what the disease actually is.
And what is it? So simply put. Multiple sclerosis is an autoimmune disease where your body attacks its own nerves and causes inflammation of the nerves, and then over time, those nerves will wear down and cease to work. Its worst case is ALS, right? No, totally separate disease. But when a couple of friends of mine who had multiple sclerosis were first tested for ALS. Really? Yeah. Oh. You weren't? No. I mean, maybe they did. They just didn't tell me. Oh. So what are the symptoms? Are many, right? Symptoms are, numbness and tingling in the arms and legs, problems with taste and smell, vision, bowel problem. I mean, the symptoms could be any number of things. For me, my first symptom was 18 months before I got diagnosed, and my legs went numb for like 3 months, and I just thought that I'd pinched a nerve. So, there have been advances pharmaceutically, right? Absolutely, yeah. What, you take drugs? Yeah, I'm on a injectable medication 3 times a week, and I mean, there's tons of treatments out there now. I think there's like 10 or 11. Do you go through periods of remission? Yeah, I mean, I've been in a pretty consistent period of remission now for about 4 years. So I react really well to my treatment. What's the betting on a cure? I think in my lifetime they'll figure it out. I think so. Probably within the next 15, 20 years. How do people find out more about You Don't Know Jack? If they go to youdon'tknowjackaboutms.com, tons of stuff on there. There's videos, tons of information. That'd be very important. Yeah. After the break, a game of If You Only Knew, where we learn Jack's funniest fan encounter and more. Don't click away. We're back with Jack Osbourne. Ozzy and Jack's World Detour airs Sundays 10 Eastern on the History Channel. You have dual citizenship, huh? I do, yes. So where's home to you? Probably California now. Studio City is where I live. Where's your family more famous? It's different. I had a show in England for 6 years. It was my own show. And then my mom did X Factor over there. So my mom and I had, she's still doing X Factor in England. So she's very famous there. My dad hops back and forth. Yeah, she's now doing 3 days a week in London, 4 days a week in LA. Is celebrity different across the pond? I feel like it is. Paparazzi there? Yeah, I feel like it's a little bit more intense in London, if that makes sense. Really? Yeah. Last year, you spoke out against both Trump and Hillary. Yeah. Have you come to a conclusion? Do you vote? I do vote, yeah. That's actually the reason I became a citizen, not just keep a green card. You support either candidate? I'm still very torn. I'm not. Really? Yeah. I'm not leaning towards either one. So you're the American who don't like. You'd rather see someone else. Yeah. I think the options that we have been given are unsatisfactory at this stage. But the American people have spoken, theoretically. So the Brexit decision in Great Britain, what did you think of it? Another one I'm on the fence. I see why people believed the kind of hysteria and went along with it. But I also feel that it doesn't. I feel like it could have been. It's a bit of a step back. It's like, why? Like yes, there's money that we're spending towards the EU, which we don't necessarily get back, but you do in other ways because of, the open borders allows, free commerce and trade, and it just made sense to me. But I can see now with the issue of, ISIS in Europe, and, if you want to start feeding into the fear of things, how some people would see it as a problem. Okay, we're going to play a little game of If You Only Knew. Okay. I just throw questions. What's your funniest fan encounter? Funniest fan encounter? Oh, man. I mean, there's been stuff like when I was young and we were doing the Osbournes, I think girls would like ring the doorbell, and I was like a teenager, and there's like girls at my door like ringing the doorbell of our house, and you do what teenagers do. Yeah. What's your favorite childhood memory? Favorite childhood memory is probably my dad teaching me to hunt, or going camping with my dad. Proudest accomplishment? Proudest accomplishment? Probably when I climbed El Cap in Yosemite, which is a 3,600-foot big giant. Because it was there. Because it was there. Best part of being a father?
Just the continual surprise of kids. Every day is a new story.
Best piece of advice for your children as they get older?
Always listen to your gut.
Biggest pet peeve?
Biggest pet peeve, picky eaters. I cannot stand picky eaters.
Favorite episode or scene from the Osbournes on MTV?
Man. Probably the most memorable was the first episode. I can remember it through and through. Other than that, it starts to get blurry. But that whole first episode was pretty exciting.
Something that always makes you laugh?
I love the movie Step Brothers. The Will Ferrell movie. It just, every time it's on, I just fall over laughing.
Childhood celebrity crush?
Natalie Portman.
Not bad. Best thing about being famous?
Probably most of the time not having to wait in line at a restaurant.
Correct. Worst thing about being famous?
Probably internet trolls.
Internet troll.
Yeah.
Favorite Black Sabbath song?
Symptom of the Universe.
Least favorite Black Sabbath song?
Probably like the later, like 1978, like Never Say Die albums.
If you could travel back in time, where would you go?
I probably would go to colonial America. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah, like right
when we defeated your people.
Exactly. I could deal with the internal struggle there.
Lunch with one historical figure, who would it be?
Probably like Jefferson or something.
You know, when you think about it, if your side had won, Jefferson would have been hung.
Probably, yeah.
As a traitor, Washington, they were all traitors.
Yeah, well, a few of the signers of the Declaration of Independence did get incarcerated and hung, and yeah.
Benedict Arnold would have been hailed.
Probably,
yes,
yeah. He would have been the, there'd have been statues of him in Washington,
right.
D.C.
Jack Osbourne in 10 years.
Battling teenage daughters. And then, I don't know, hopefully still, contributing to the, the flow of life.
Are you always going to be looking at new ideas to produce?
Yeah, I mean, I would eventually like to kind of, I say I'd like to do something else. I've been working in TV for 15 years now, and, I started a diaper bag company making diaper bags for dads. So it's just a small little internet business me and a friend started.
I mean, for dads to wear?
Yeah, just, because I go to the park and you see a bunch of dads walking around with like floral pink bags chasing their kids. And I'm like, where's the bags for dads? So we make diaper bags. And so that's kind of just a little venture I'm getting into. And I don't know, I don't know if I will be in TV forever.
Does the family remain close?
Yes. I mean, most weekends we are together. With my kids and Kelly, and we usually go get lunch or something.
That's always. And when they were separated, you still were close, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, their business is their business. I can't put myself into their relationship. So whatever's going on that's the most intimate level. So I just.
But you're glad they're back.
I am, of course. Maybe selfishly, but
Sure. In our final moments, Jack will take your questions. Stay with us. Ozzy and Jack's World Detour. It's on the History Channel. Airs Sundays at 10 Eastern. There's 10 of them, and we hope they get another lesson, another season.
Fingers crossed.
Some fan questions at Hollywood in D.C. on Twitter. Do you think kids under 18 should be allowed on reality TV shows?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, why not? I think it kind of falls on the parents of those kids, though, to be able to, manage and maintain that kid as best as possible. I mean, kids have been in Hollywood since Hollywood began.
How real is reality TV?
This day and age, reality TV is about as real as Star Wars.
Emily Ruth on the Larry King Now blog. Would you and your family ever consider doing another season of the Osbournes?
Last year we'd sold it to VH1, and then VH1 decided to not go ahead with it.
Really, why?
I think at the time it was too expensive for them. Getting my mom and dad on TV isn't cheap. And I think that they were a little, nervous.
Emily also asked if you have any desire yourself to act.
No, I don't think I would act.
John M. on Facebook. What city do you prefer, London or L.A.?
There's components of London that I love that you just cannot get anywhere else, but probably L.A. It's where my kids were born and they go to school. And
London's a wonderful city.
It is fantastic.
The weather is not
No.
At KJM 1016 on Twitter, if you could choose one current famous family to put in front of reality TV cameras, who would it be and why?
Man, good question. You know what? I think a fascinating show would be the Obamas leaving the White House. That's a reality show right there.
Kids and what would happen.
Yeah, like they're teenagers now. They're still living in D.C. Like that's like an amazing setting for a reality show.
That could be sold, huh?
Right?
Would that be an easy sell?
Doubtful. For them, anyway.
Yeah, I know. No, but a network. Oh.
Yeah.
Ann Dawson on the Larry King Now blog. What's the craziest thing you ever heard about your family in the tabloid? And how do you brush aside rumors in the press? Tabloids had a field day with you.
Oh, yeah, it was when I was a kid. And it's weird, like, now the climate has changed so much with the whole anti-bullying and some of the stuff the press would write about me and my sister when we were kids is so, like, was just not on. It's, like, kind of crossing a line. So I learned very early on just to ignore it. I don't read stuff, you know, even if I do an interview or whatever, I'll never read it. Probably the craziest thing, I don't know. I mean, there was stuff like, there was stuff written about like the kind of parents my parents are and talking, you know, saying really negative things about how they raised me and Kelly. And
was that painful?
I mean, it's that thing where it's more frustrating. You get kind of angry about it, but I learned, like I said, very early on, you just got to ignore it because they don't know me. It's an opinion. They're sat back watching.
What I resent is when they bring the kids. Where in England you can't.
Yeah.
You can't bring the kids you can't paparazzi the kids, you can't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's they protect kids a little bit better in the press over there.
Alec Baldwin would like it better there.
Yeah.
Beth Hansman on Facebook. What's your favorite part about being a father?
Favorite part about being a father, probably the comedy of it. Kids are so funny, and they just say the craziest things, and they're gross, and they're like little, you know, bacteria balls, but they're fun. You know?
Your wife is a good mother?
She is a fantastic mother.
Yeah.
I couldn't have asked for a better wife/mother of my children.
She's home and attentive, right?
Big time, yeah. She was raised in the South, so she's very much got that like Southern, you know, kind of home vibe. She's always cooking and taking care of the kids and play date. I mean, she's really hands-on mom. You have a lot of Southern cooking? Yeah, my wife's from Cajun country in Louisiana. Oh, I know that well. So it's a lot of that. By the way, one other thing on MS, do you have a dietary effect? Yeah, so I try to, you know, that you can get lost in the internet with like the MS diet and what's good, what's not, and I try and eliminate a lot of sugars, especially processed sugar, processed foods. Kind of paleo-ish, my diet, and it seems to work. You don't know jack about MS, right? Yep. Thank you. Thank you, Larry. As always, a big thanks to my guest, Jack Osbourne. Be sure to tune into his new show, Ozzy and Jack's World Detour. It airs Sundays at 10 p.m. on the History Channel. You can find me on Twitter at King's Things. I'll see you next time.